Well, good evening, everyone. Hello. Come on in the room. Welcome to Exceptional Women with Grit. We are back for
We're
season
back.
4. Yes. Lee, I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm feeling kind of groovy. How do you feel about us just taking
Yeah,
a minute to just vibe to that? You like that?
yeah, I do. I like that. The new
Yes.
video was, hey, we're coming up.
I'm gonna put it on while we get others to come in the room. So you guys come on and dance with us as you come on in.
Uh-oh.
Clap your hands because we're ready for Women with Grit season
Yes, we
4.
are.
We are so excited to be back. So go ahead, tag someone, let them know that we are on. We are back. We are live. We are hitting the stage. New music, new graphics. You guys have to let us know if you like the vibes by Aria. So come on in the room. That's right. What about those horns, Lee?
Man, hey, music. I'm grooving to all the music. It's in there. Yes, I love it. I love it.
So excited to be back on. So how have you been, Lee? Welcome. We're back.
I have been wonderful. I can't complain. The year did start off with the treadmill on 10, incline of 10. And it said, you better get on or you gonna get left.
That's right. I'm there right there with you. Continuing to move fast.
Yes. Yeah. It's not slowed down. I was telling someone just a few minutes ago on a call on my way home, and I'd say, you know what? The month is over already. I know it's the beginning of February, but it's pretty much done, especially when you look at your schedule. And really March looks like it's pretty much a wrap too.
Exactly. Right.
But I love it. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
We are making up quickly for the time that was what felt like was on pause during COVID and immediately coming out. I feel like we're now on the other side of that, where we are just moving at such a rapid pace this year.
Yes, for sure. Hey, everyone, if you're make sure you let your friends know and the people you actually like that Women with Grit is on right now, so they can check us out on our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or our YouTube channel. And catch us live. We have a fantastic guest coming up.
That's right. And if you haven't already done so, go grab your favorite beverage of choice. Make sure that you let them know we're on. Join us on Facebook, Instagram. You got yours.
Look at my water.
Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those social media feeds that we are on. And as you guys know, we bring you nothing but the very best guests to grace the stage of Women with Grit, where we interview amazing and phenomenal women around the world who are truly pioneers in their respective areas. We truly believe in being able to take the gems and the pearls that they share through their experiences and be able to share them with you all so that we can continue to grow and thrive in our various areas of life. So tonight would be no different. We have an amazing guest backstage, Miss Shatanese Reese. Let me tell you, you guys are in for an amazing treat tonight. She is phenomenal. Such wisdom. So I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to go tag someone, let them know that we are on. You do not want to miss Women with Grit tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know a little bit about our guest tonight before we bring her up, because as you all know, we definitely want to make sure that you all have time to connect with her as well. Get your questions in because you will want to do that tonight. So Ms. Shatanese Reese is a certified emotional intelligence coach and senior professional in human resources with over 20 years of HR experience. Her career spans industries such as retail, banking, and higher education. She has provided coaching in every role she has held during her career. Shatanese believes that coaching serves as an opportunity to partner with managers and teams to ensure that they are achieving their fullest potential. Shatanese coaches engineers, scientists, mid-level managers, and senior leaders in companies across Georgia, such as the Georgia Tech Research Institute, the Riverside Epicenter, as well as the Federal Home Loan for Bank of America. Shatanese truly believes that using a wide variety of methods to engage her clients, she is known for her inclusion of role plays, individual reflections, as well as other means when it comes to tapping into various learning styles of the adult learner. She obtained her bachelor's and master's degrees from Iowa State University and is the CEO of Shatanese Reese LLC, an HR consultancy which specializes in leadership development, coaching, and diversity and inclusion. She is also a certified John Maxwell coach as well as speaker. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring to the stage Miss Shatanese Reese. Good afternoon.
Woo! Hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
We are
Great.
excited to have you.
We're happy to have your smile on this evening.
Glad to be here. And the first of the new year. And Sherelle, remind everyone, how long have you all been in existence?
Oh my goodness, since 2020. In fact, we are celebrating year 3 of Women with Grit. Over 70 guests have graced our stage. We have, and I have to go back and do the metrics as it relates to it, but we have touched hundreds of thousands of individuals by you guys, by your stories that actually have come. So we're super excited to have you.
Congratulations. That's phenomenal. I know you've been touching the lives of many. So that's great. That's great. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. But let's dig into you. So this is really about, learning more about you. Tell us a little bit more about your unique story of grit.
Yes, thank you. I grew up, born and raised in Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. And so oftentimes people say, what? Are there really Black people in Iowa? And I often say, not anymore. Like they're all in Atlanta now. So, but of course, that was definitely an interesting experience in terms of growing up. And, the reality is my parents didn't have a lot. I can remember countless times, throughout childhood where we had to move frequently. At times we actually did not have what we needed, hence the term lack. So, I know what it means to be without electricity. I know what it means to sometimes have to put your goods in coolers. And that's not to disparage my parents at all. They did the best that they could with everything that they had. And, my siblings and I sometimes talk about, just how we made it through. Like it was a really tough upbringing. And as you shared, Sherelle, went to Iowa State University. Academics, that was my way out. My way out of whatever we were experiencing at home. I vowed at an early age that I would have a different experience. If ever I had a family, I would absolutely have a different experience. And so I went to Iowa State, actually had aspirations to be a teacher. And so I'm speak French. I have a master's degree in French, je parle français, and certainly enjoyed that, but felt I wanted to do much more with my language than telling my students to sit down and spit out their gum. So I went back to get my master's and created my own program, interdisciplinary studies at Iowa State. So that's French, business, and psychology. So I love the industrial organizational psychology aspect of business. So started my HR career. And I also have to give a shout out to residence life and student affairs. I really got an interest in working with people, by serving as an RA and serving as a community assistant on Iowa State's campus. And so launched my HR career and actually started out in recruiting and being able to connect with people quickly and make sure that my clients were getting the candidates that they needed and candidates were getting, placed where they needed to be placed. And, fast forward to 2016, and I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer. And there's nothing like a medical diagnosis that will really make you just reevaluate your life. And so I just paused and thought, am I really doing everything that I should be doing? Am I doing my purpose? As a woman of faith, certainly was, praying and asking, Lord, is there something more I should be doing? And so I actually launched my firm in 2017, and it was actually under a different brand, but I was getting way too many questions about, okay, so what do you do? And so in 2019, that's when I became certified as a John Maxwell coach and speaker, and I became Shatanese Reese LLC. And on my YouTube channel, you'll see there's this video called Becoming. And it just so happens it was right around the time as former First Lady Michelle Obama was releasing her Becoming book. I'd like to say I had the idea first, but just kidding. So it was a transformation for me, going from my original brand to my brand now. And I come in to help teams kind of recalibrate. And, I really enjoy coaching and helping people understand themselves. I feel that as a leader, you can't truly lead others and understand what makes them tick unless you know first yourself. So being certified in emotional intelligence and also in DISC, the personality assessment, has been really a blessing, just to be able to come in and help teams really get to the bottom of what's happening. And so I'm also an author, and I have written a couple of books, and we can talk about that in a little bit. So that's the high level view of who is Shatanese.
Wow, what a journey. Oh my goodness. And then from a space of, moving from the space of breast cancer and maintaining yourself. And
Yes.
I know that that had to have been a lot, right? Dealing with that. And then you're a mom. Like, tell us a little bit more about your family.
Yes, I was just thinking, I was like, oh Lord, totally forgot to mention my family. So, married to my husband, Steve Reese. Oh Lord, he's going to watch this and like, oh, you don't know my name? I was like, yes, I know your name, honey. We have 6 beautiful individuals. So yes, I have given life to 6 individuals. I've been in the hospital for each one, have a hospital story. So ages ranging from 25 all the way down to 7. And I like to call them my Reese's Pieces. And so one is working on their PhD in microbiology. One is a former Marine and is, out there established and, living his life. Then I have one who's an artist and really enjoys being creative. And so he likes to sing. He wants to be on Broadway someday. So keep your eyes out for Joshua Reese. You just never know. And then Hannah happens to be our athlete, and she has a heck of an arm, so she may be the next best female NFL player. And then Nina Sophia, she's actually my youngest daughter, where we co-authored the Adventures of Nina Sophia. She's our firecracker. And then Josiah, my youngest. So that's us, large family. And so holidays are busy, life is busy. So the 4 out of the 6 are here at the house. And yeah, it's a lot, but we make it work, right? Team Reese, we make it work.
There you go. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So what have you all done or what did you do? I mean, it's a continuous effort. We have a large family as well, but what are you all doing to make it work? How do you, I'm not sure how busy your husband is with his career. Obviously you are 6 kids and they're all active. How do y'all make it work?
We pray.
How do you make it look like you're not working to other people? But you
we pray a whole lot. Lee, that's a great question. We really partner. So my husband is very busy and successful in his career at Amazon. So shout out to Amazon. So during peak season, the holiday season, it's because of y'all that my husband is working, because we got to get those packages to you, right? But we all know what the schedule is. And so we make sure that everyone is aware, everyone plays a part. This is a team effort. So I delegate in terms of whatever age appropriate the kids can do. So, the kids can wash dishes and vacuum and help get the younger brother ready for bed. And there's just no way that I could do all of that. And I know that many parents, especially those of us who are women, we try to do it all, and it's just not sustainable. And so I really had to take a step back and say, all right, what absolutely has to get done today and what's okay for the next. So we rely heavily, I'm looking over here because that's where my phone is, on our family calendar. So it's on the calendar. It's on the calendar, whatever it is on the calendar. And then in terms of my business and professionally, I have a passion planner that I like to use, not necessarily endorsing it, but whatever planner that you can use I have to be able to keep things compartmentalized so I know what needs to be done when and who needs to go where. So it really is a team effort. Absolutely. And prayer.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And prayer.
And prayer, yes. On the topic of that, when you talk about, especially as a coach, and the ability to prioritize time, prioritizing life, like you were working through the space of, your coming out of your illness, working with your family, starting your organization. When you think about the nature of balance, as well as trying to balance between doing it all and having the right mix, how do you find your flow in all of that?
It takes time, Sherelle, and the reality is there has to be adjustment. So those of my friends and family who are watching, they know when I'll send out a prayer request, like, we have this major client, this proposal that I'm trying to get through. Joshua has something that we need to cover in prayer. So absolutely getting friends and family, because it does take a village. There was one instance where the school scheduled something last minute, and I already had travel plans for a client, and my husband was not able to be there. So I'm sending out messages to aunties and godmommies like, can anyone be there, please? Because it's important for our faces as family members to be out in the audience, because I don't know about your experience, but looking out in the gym, the cafeteria, the auditorium, you want to see there's your people. So it absolutely requires a level of collaboration and also grace. There are times when I recognize, Shatanese, you just need to take a nap. We just going to go home and try it all over again. There was one instance I had shared where it was the Wizard of Oz weather here in Atlanta. And it was the first day back for the kids after a brief break. And I was determined to get all of the kids to all 4 of their schools on time. Well, as fate would have it, that was not happening. So Josiah's bus came late, and that just set a whole domino effect. And I was chasing down Joshua's bus on 2 wheels. Hopefully nobody's watching from the school district.
Hey,
And then trying to
I've done
get
that a few
Nita
times.
in. Oh my goodness. Lee, once I was finished, I was like, you know what? This is not it. We just started the whole day over, really. But again, humility and grace, and then just in terms of scheduling and making sure that I communicate that to the kids. And the last thing I want to say, Sherelle, to your question, work-life balance, I think, is a misnomer. I think it's more like work-life integration. And it's absolutely important, essential, that you take the time out for yourself. And so I carve out 1 day a month for my self-care day, which means I shut down the laptop. I don't accept any, phone calls. There have been a couple of times when I've been, tested or pushed, like, well, we have this meeting. This is the only time we could get it in. And I had to be able to say, I'm not available. Why? Because I have to protect that time for myself. It's no one else's responsibility. It absolutely is not. So, yeah.
Well, kudos to you, because those are, especially when you're in business for yourself, it's hard to turn down certain meetings, especially if they're, potential clients or deliverables or what have you. But at the end of the day, they don't care if you get your rest or not. And so you have to care whether or not you do.
Yeah, because it makes us a better us. We're able to show up better when we're rested, when we're cared for, and when we are being intentional about taking care of ourselves. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And, companies offer have PTO for their for their employees, so that they can take those days off. So, being self-employed, you have to, I always tell everybody, my boss is a trip. He won't give me any time. All my PTO is unpaid, so.
Well, and being in HR for as long as I've been, 25 plus years, I can't tell you the number of people who roll over that time because they feel as if they need to, still be there. Like if they're gone, they're going to miss something. And the reality is your employers give you that time. And so you don't necessarily have to be sick in order to be off. And also, if you don't take the time off to be well, your body will shut down and you'll be forced to take that time to get well. So that's
You know
important too.
something, Shatanese, the number one killer for women and then African American women is heart disease. And
Yeah.
heart disease, isn't always what we put in our mouth. It's the stress that we carry that then becomes or manifests itself into disease. So you're absolutely right and spot on when it comes to giving ourselves permission to take time for rest. It's not a nice to have, it's a need. We need to be able to do so in order to be able to function at our highest self.
Yeah, let's normalize taking care of ourselves. Let's, if I'm taking a day off for whatever reason, it's not like this huge deal. I need the time off. I'm going to be off, or even a sabbatical if you need it, because sometimes our brains just need that time to just be, which is the reason why I wrote the journal, Collect Beautiful Moments, as I'm pulling it up. We go and go and go, and we're pulled in so many different directions, as parents, as spouses, as partners, as business owners, that we don't stop and just breathe. And so I'm a big proponent of just stopping.
So with the if I'm thinking, okay, I want to know more about your journal. What should I expect to get from it as a user?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Lee. It is a faith-based journal. And so what that means is inside are journal prompts. And so for example, there's a page talking about forgiveness. And so forgiveness is necessary for freedom of the mind. And you may have heard that forgiveness is not for others, but for yourself. So holding on to offenses causes bitterness and other health concerns. Working through a process of forgiveness will yield great dividends. And so that's just one example. But I also have included scripture as well as photography. Again, just to get you to pause and reflect. I'll show you another page. This journal means so much to me for a number of reasons. The photographers are actually really, really close friends of mine. So we worked together on this project for a couple of years. And then my mom passed in 2021 due to COVID. And so I released this journal on her birthday, which is February 26th last year. And so again, just some ways to just sit and be, and then you can actually write out your thoughts as it pertains to the journal prompts and the images. So I've received really great feedback from those who have purchased the journal. I actually took some journals to a women's shelter, and because I've been in a shelter before, and I know what it feels like to feel hopeless and to feel as if there's just no way out of current circumstances. And so I wanted to be able to give back to those women because I've been in those shoes before with my mom, as a child. And as a child, like you don't fully understand what's happening. You just know that something's not okay. Right. And, being there and being able to look into each woman's eye and say, this is only for a season. Use this journal to find inspiration and encouragement. And, I'm just, praying for everyone because we all could be in situations like that, where it's different than what we've experienced before. So I don't take that for granted.
That's very true.
So how can our audience, how can they order that?
They can actually order it through my publisher, which is the Solid Foundation Group, which is a husband and wife team based here in Atlanta, or you can go on Amazon. So if you're on Amazon and you type in Shatanese Reese and Collect Beautiful Moments, you can find that, as well as The Adventures of Nina Sophia, our children's book. This is book number 3. And so, yeah.
Was your daughter your co-author on the other two?
Yes. So it's number 1, number 2, and number 3, The Adventures of Nina Sophia. So it's life through Nina's eyes as the youngest girl in a family of 8. And this book series is also special because the illustrator happens to be Nina's godfather. So, and this book in particular is about Josiah, my youngest. He had open heart surgery when he was 4 months old. And as Nina was experiencing that, it was a traumatic experience. And so the purpose of the series is to help kids realize that tough things happen,
Mhm.
and they can feel those experiences, and they're not alone in those experiences. So that's the reason why we created the series.
Okay, that's phenomenal. It seems like so we typically ask, "What's your story of grit?" And you have a number of stories where it took grit to get through them. Just in speaking of your son, what would you say? Where is that pivotal moment in your life where you realized, I'm a pretty gritty woman. I can overcome a lot of things. Was there one event or two events, or what got you there?
I don't know, Lee, if there was one event in particular, because throughout my life there have been a number of major situations. I had, as I stated, traumatic experiences as a child, but I weathered through and wanted to get through and succeed. And then even in middle, like my 20s, and going into college, and going through, I was actually divorced. I'm not ashamed to say, that I had a previous, marriage, and the situation and feelings and emotions around, failing in that regard. So I will say that there was one clear moment for me when I was at a retreat. There's a retreat property here in Atlanta, and I was overlooking the Chattahoochee River, and I could see and feel the trees just kind of blowing, in the wind. And I heard God say, I'm here. I'm right where you are. There's nothing else that you have to do to prove anything to me. I accept you." And that was so liberating and just so freeing, and I just broke down in tears, because I had been trying for years to find affirmation in other people, find affirmation in my achievements, and was just striving to try to understand who I was as a person. So, at one of my lowest points in my life, I heard God say, "It's okay." And that's the message that I want to share with people, that sometimes we fall down and sometimes we have hard stuff that happens to us, but there's still purpose. If you still have lungs in your body, if air in your lungs, rather, of course, we want lungs in our body. If you still have air in your lungs, you have purpose, and to stay encouraged and keep your chin up. And oftentimes, when we're working with or looking at or helping other people, that takes the focus off of us. So I would say that that was the moment when I said, "Okay, let's go, God. What are we going to do?" And still, just grateful, especially after, losing my mom and all of that, and the cancer diagnosis. I do not take life for granted. I try not to. I try to collect beautiful moments and live every moment. And Sherelle, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
On mute.
How about now? I said that it was so amazing, the nature of just the pause principle and actually being still, right? We can accomplish so much by just being still, clarity, being able to understand the nature of the direction that we're headed in, etc. So I want to ask you a question before we take a quick pause and allow you the space to grab something to drink. When you think about who inspired you along the way, who would you name as being some of your most prominent supporters, mentors, coaches, any and all of those?
Great question. There are so many, and many of whom are women, but there are also some men who've been very instrumental throughout my life. The first person that comes to my mind is my mom. She was the epitome of perseverance. My grandmother, Edna May, comes to mind. Will never forget her being in church with her pearls and her mints. She always had peppermints in her pocketbook, and it was a pocketbook. It was not a purse.
Wasn't
It
a
was
purse.
not. No, it was a pocketbook. And just in terms of other women. Shireen Knowles comes to mind, and she is the owner of HR Knowledge Source. Tom Darrow, he also comes to mind. Dr. Christopher Boyd. So there have been so many people throughout my life, and then all just my sister friends. They all know who they are. I couldn't be who I am without people who've been. Oh, Steve, Sherelle. Listen, y'all, if you're listening to this, and I know people who know me. Yes, my husband, I could not do what I do without my husband. I truly, truly mean that. Truly. Thank you, Sherelle. So, yes, there have been so many people throughout my life and have been supporting me. I will say that I'm training for a fitness competition. My
Uh-oh.
husband is my biggest supporter and also like my hardest person.
Mhm.
I don't even like telling him that I didn't meet my meal goals sometimes because
Mm.
he will come down
Oh, wow.
on me. But yet that next day will go out and get me all of the vegetables and all
Yeah,
the things that I need so that I can do my meal prep. So
Mhm.
that is.
having the support. And I also want to say, of course, my siblings and my three musketeers who are my cousins.
Mhm.
So all different. So I've been blessed,
Mhm.
so blessed to do work. So thank you.
So I have a question for you to think about over the break. Now you have 6 kids, and all of us with more than one kid realize very quickly that no kid is the same.
Yeah.
And so it takes different things to inspire them, motivate them. They have different gifts. And notice you mentioned one of your kids is your artist, one's your athlete. So you've recognized that. So how do you and your husband, how do you all instill within them the grit, the work ethic that it'll take for them to succeed in what they want to do, and how do you help them shape their goals?
So
So that's something to think
really,
about.
mm,
We can go confer with a friend, ask a friend.
that's right, man. What an edifying conversation and way to
Wow.
start season 4, right?
Yes, 30.
Pause
First
principle.
half is up. What?
Yes, I know, right? We're already past the first half of the session. I mean, Shatanese is just amazing, and just her story is so inspiring,
Mm-hmm.
and just the ability to push through and really move from a place of lack to legacy and building, and just to be able to pull from within. I think is so commendable, and it's inspiring to be able to do so, and recognizing that she's not alone, and the ability to build the tribe. I
Mm-hmm.
love hearing from our guests, Lee, just the emphasis on not doing it alone, taking
Yes.
care of self,
Mm-hmm.
not being the popular loner, if you will, but kind of breaking that mold and recognizing that
Right.
it takes community. So it's always great to hear that re-emphasized by our guests.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, Sherelle, what are you working on these days? We haven't talked in quite a while. What are you working on business
A
wise?
while, yes.
What,
So this
what you got
is
going
10 years in business for vision and
on?
strategy management. Yes.
Congratulations.
I'm
Happy 10th
excited.
anniversary. Yes.
Yes. So we'll be doing a whole bunch of stuff throughout the year, from giving away books to setting the stage for our clients. We have helped them amass somewhere to the tune of, and my team is still doing the math, but between 300 to 400 million dollars in revenue. That's just
Wow.
through the use of our services to our clients.
Wow.
So that is something that we're really excited about. We're proud of it. We're looking forward to continuing to celebrate our clients, right? And the
Yes.
success that they have been able to achieve throughout the year. So that's something that we're working on, that I'm, leading the helm on that. Super excited about that. Working on the next book. You know me, I've always got something going on.
For sure. For sure. Well, congratulations on 10 years in business.
Yes, super excited about that. How about you?
Oh, I don't even know where to start. How, it's things have just been going. Things been going great. I mean, as with everything, you have your ups, your downs, but
Mhm.
overall, everything's great. With the table, we're in our 3rd year, so we hit 2 years back in October. We're up at
Mhm.
200, I think about 270 members, 17,
Love the
18
work. Yes.
corporate sponsors. And here's the thing, and we don't know the numbers either, but
Yeah.
people are getting deals. People are getting, whether
Yeah.
it's a job, getting jobs, contracts, sponsorship. I mean, people are making some real genuine connections right now,
Mhm.
which is phenomenal. And
Yes.
oftentimes Kate and I, like, so we ask everybody, hey, if you have a success story, share it with us. We want you to talk about it at our meeting. And
Mhm.
inevitably, we'll be standing outside after a meeting, and people will be talk about a deal that they're working on. We're like, hey, you couldn't have shared
Right.
that inside. Oh, it didn't really hit me until
Yeah.
until now. But we're
Yeah.
really excited about some of the things that we're doing. Um,
Mhm.
have some good meetings coming up where we're actually getting ready. Our February 22nd meeting, we're doing our first our inaugural table awards.
Yes.
So we have corporate awards and our individual awards. So we're excited about that. Uh,
Awesome. February 22nd. We'll have to put the link
February
down
22nd.
in the chat so that guests can come. Is it open to the public?
They can, well, not open, but if somebody's interested in coming, they can reach out to me, and
Okay.
it's at our regular membership meeting. So
Yeah.
we're tasked with not really adding a whole lot of meetings and extra events to people's
Mhm.
schedules. So
Right.
we're trying to figure out ways to be efficient in doing that. But yep, definitely, people can reach out to me either on
Mhm.
Facebook at Lee Mollett or IG at L Mollett II. So I'm Lee Mollett the second, so just II. If you get Lee Mollett, then that may be you may see a football player there. That would be my son. How can people
Awesome.
reach you, Sherelle?
So for me, Sherelle lands on all platforms. I try to keep it very simple, or Vision Strategy Management. So CHARELLELANS is my handles on everything. I try to keep it simple that way.
All right. Well, cool. And the table, you can hit the tableaction.com, tableaction.com.
Mhm.
And it looks like we're ready to go back to
Let's go
Shatanese.
ahead and bring Shatanese up. But before we jump in with her again, make sure that you share this information. Again, don't keep it to yourself, because sharing is caring, right? And we
Yes,
want to
it
make
is.
sure that we are sharing the information with others as well. And then secondly, if you all have any questions, please leave your questions in the chat. We do see a couple coming through. We will be sure to get those over to Shatanese, but don't be shy. Definitely leave your questions in the chat, and we'll be sure to acknowledge you.
Yes, in just a few minutes, we'll have our Q&A session. So we'll definitely get as many of those questions answered as possible.
Welcome back, Shatanese. All right, so Lee left a question before we went to the break. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
And Lee, you asked, how do we instill or prepare our kids for grit? And we really try to meet each of them where they are, and also praying over them that they recognize who and whose they are as they're
Mhm.
growing up. So trying to foster their talent. And then as we talk through situations that happen at school, because let's face it, kids sometimes are not very nice in schools. So we've already had to deal with bullying. We've had to deal with, our kids coming home in tears. And how they process through that is extremely important,
Mhm.
because as an emotional intelligence coach working with various companies, I get to see those children as adults, right? And so
Right.
oftentimes we as adults, we're walking around wounded and we don't even know why. We respond in certain ways and we're just responding and not even knowing why. So at home, we try to make sure we process through things that happen at school, asking the kids, so how do you feel about what happened? And also trying to, identify solutions on, what do you think should happen next? And, we're quick to say now, if your mom and daddy need to come up there, we need to, we'll be up there to
No.
second. Listen, all you got to do. But we really want to empower the kids to be able to, process through and deal with conflict for themselves.
Mhm.
So when I'm coaching clients who sometimes get stuck in maybe a previous trigger, I ask them, why that emotion? We have access to all of these emotions, but for whatever reason, you chose that emotion for your response. So why is that? And let's unpack that. Let's figure out what's going on. Is it because it's from a previous situation, whether that's been personal or professional? But it's important for us to know why we're responding in a certain way. My husband and I went to a marital retreat a couple years ago, and we learned about our fear cycles and also our care cycles. So a fear cycle is, let's say, for me, it's important for me to be credible. It's important for me to show up and, people know who I am and why I do what I do. And so for people to not see that, that's a fear of mine. And so if that fear is triggered by a comment on feedback that I get on one of the evaluations, then I will go immediately into this, defense cycle. So within relationships, someone said something, it triggers, you then respond, and then that person responds because of your response, and you're just in this vicious cycle. So it's important for everyone to, when they're triggered, find out what's happening. So I was okay, but now I'm not okay. So that's the awareness level. That's that first step. And then you're accepting why you're feeling those feelings, whatever is coming up for you. You're embracing that. Okay. So I'm feeling a little agitated. I'm feeling a little frustrated, irritated. So let me accept where I am. And then for those of us who are believers, we allow the Holy Spirit to come in, because sometimes God has a totally different perspective on what's happening. Or there's just a different way of looking at what's happening. So oftentimes, of course, I have to be very careful about, mixing, church and companies or anything like that. So I say, all right, so this is a situation. What happens if we step over here and look at it this way? Or, take a different set of lenses and look at it from that perspective. So that's the allow stage. And I have my notes here to make sure I wouldn't forget. So then attending, we're trying to make sure that we're asking ourselves. So in that example that I gave about myself, Shatanese, you are credible. So, that lie or that fear that is playing over, that head trash that I call sometimes, where we're thinking we're less than or whatever the case may be, that's not true. And so then that last step is you're acting. So what do I need to do to repair a situation if I responded in a way and that caused some damage, or what is it that I want to do differently? How do I need to move forward in this situation? So that's the care cycle. But it's so important to really just truly pause, and we have to do our work. We absolutely have to. Oftentimes in communities of color, we don't want to go to a counselor. We grew up knowing that's nobody's business. What happens in this house stays in this house, right? And you don't need to be telling or talking to anybody else about that. Well, that has caused a number of issues in many communities. And so I'm a big proponent of doing our inner work and also enlisting the services of someone who is trained to hear perhaps what we just don't know how to put words to yet. Because we all want to be heard at the end of the day. We want to be heard. And sometimes people within our sphere of influence, they don't have the capacity to be able to hear the way that we need to be heard. So doing our inner work, our stuff, that's important.
Yep, gotcha.
That's powerful. Shatanese, I want to make sure that, because the last week we've talked, right? And the last time we had a conversation, you talked about recognizing that people begin to work on their stuff. And this is kind of in the realm of that. Can you expound on what that concept means, to work on our stuff and being able to recognize the messages and behaviors that we have within ourselves and what creates triggers?
Yes, absolutely. As I stated, when I'm coaching or working with teams, sometimes people are responding in a certain way and they're not understanding why. That self-awareness, that emotional intelligence of being aware of something, there's a visceral reaction happening for me. I need to take a time out to go take care of myself, and I'll be right back. And it's okay to tell people I need some time and I'll be right back. You just have to promise, and agree to come back to whatever that may be. When leaders or just people and even parents, when we are able to say and recognize that something is not right within us, we're able to have much better connections. We're also able to model better relationships and better conflict resolution within our families, which is so important for our children. So when we don't work on our stuff, we are walking around wounded, as I said earlier, and also like cacti, or even a cat in a room full of rocking chairs,
Hmm.
meaning you're just a walking time bomb, essentially, because someone will say something or do something to you, you're wounded, you react in a certain way, and you're not sure why. That person doesn't know why. And so you're having to apologize often for your reactions. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I just, so we have to pause and do our inner work on our stuff so
Hmm.
that we minimize instances of offenses. We have to do that.
So another question for you. Obviously you're a believer. You believe in God, and many people do, but they have that challenge that you kind of alluded to earlier of introducing or having God at work with them, if you will. With your clients or people that people you're working with, how do you advise them? And how would I guess you wind up having, you can do that with your kids as well, but how do you advise them to carry God with them to work and let him do his thing while he's there without causing a ruckus, if you will, at work?
Yeah. So with my clients, I never introduce Christ or God or religion unless they share or they say something that gives me permission to be able to encourage them. So I, don't want to give the impression that I'm having church
Oh, right.
in
Yeah. No.
my coaching sessions.
Yeah.
So it really depends on who that person is and what's important to them.
Hmm.
And I encourage all of my clients and anyone that I'm working with to look inwardly. What's your why? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you waking up and doing what you need to do? Tap into that. And so for our kids here at home, yes, sometimes if there's someone who is bullying them, or there's someone who's difficult, or there's a teacher that they don't like, which happens
Hmm.
sometimes,
Right.
then let's cover them in prayer. And
Hmm.
of course, sometimes the kids are like, I don't feel like covering, but the reality is, yes, that's what we want to do. We want to pray over them because the word tells us to pray for our enemies.
Hmm.
And not suggesting that everyone's an enemy who has
Right.
a conflict or anything like that, but trying to empower them and to get them less focused on the issue and the strain and the stress, and more focused on, Lord, this, step in.
Hmm.
I need you to step in right now. Right. This
Right.
this is this is all yours. I'm just, walking out my purpose. And so, you tell me that all I have to do is lean on you, seek you, and, talk to you, and you'll come right in. And there's peace in that. There's absolutely peace in that. So we try to really foster, prayer often in our home.
Gotcha. And you work hard, you do all that, you raise your kids. What do you do
What do
for
you do for
fun?
fun?
How does Shatanese have fun? And how important is that? And then what does the Reese family do together to have fun? And then we're going to go to Q&A, I think, after that.
Okay. I love fun. So going out for walks, my husband and I got a chance to go walking last night, and I just told him, I said, I love this. We're just outside. He had a blanket, I had a little hat on my head, and we're just walking out in the neighborhood. Um, if anyone wants to bless me, send me to a beach.
Okay.
I love the beach. There's something about being by water. And so ultimately, one day, my husband and I want to end up by some water somewhere. Reese's, we like to go to the movies. We like to eat. So there are plenty of pictures on social media of us enjoying crab legs. because that's what Nina Sophia loves the most. Is,
Okay.
so we love some seafood and vacation. So we've been talking here recently about wanting to go to Hilton Head, and Lee, to your question, that's not necessarily the experience that I had growing up.
Mhm.
So being able to give my children different experiences is just life-giving,
Mhm.
for them to have a totally different experience as a child than what I experienced. So them, going to Hilton Head and being able to, rent bikes and, walk to the plaza area, I'm just excited to be able to do that and grateful, that my business and my husband's efforts were able to provide those experiences for the kids. So yeah, we love going to the movies and going to the beach, and hanging out and just laughing. So I will call my oldest daughter and we'll just laugh about random things that only she and I will know. So um, last year we went to Cancun, she and I, my
Great.
first mother-daughter trip ever.
Oh, wow.
And she was celebrating 25. I was, had turned 50. And
Okay.
so this year I'll be taking my second daughter. We're going to Paris.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
again, different experiences, right?
Mhm.
Different
Right.
experiences. So that's what we like to do for fun. Just get out the house and hang out.
Right. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. Well, I think we're getting to that point where we have some questions here. Let me uh, pull them up. And everyone, if you have additional questions, go ahead and ask them so that we can get them answered. We gotta do something here. I don't know if okay. Let's see. So well, we have a couple of comments. Let's see. I have to go all the way to the top.
Yes, we received one from Reese, from Steve.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Are you pulling my leg, Sherelle? Oh,
No,
Lord.
she's not. Okay, I'm looking for it. I saw it too. That's what I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Let's see.
Love
Sherelle was
that.
getting it, but I think she something.
It's
Okay,
all
Steve.
good.
All right. What is the hardest thing about being in business for yourself, and how are you overcoming it? That's from Steve
Yeah.
Reese, somebody you probably know.
Yeah, I'd say the hardest thing is the balance that we talked about earlier, because as a business owner, it's not you clock in and you clock out, and trying to make sure that I'm being the best wife that God has called me to be, the being the best parent, being the best prayer partner, the best sibling. So it's that balance, and that's why I have to really stick to a strict schedule and being able to say no. So my no and my yes arms have to be strong. And so if I'm saying yes to something, what am I impacting? Because it's not just me, right? It's my whole
Mhm.
family. So whenever I have an opportunity to travel for my clients, which happens, quite regularly, I have to connect with my husband. Okay, so this is what they're asking. Can we do it? What do we need to move around and shift? Do we need to call in, extra folks to help us out? So it's a whole effort whenever I'm requested to travel.
Okay.
So that balance and being able to really make sure I'm spending the appropriate time on all of the things. So great question, Steve. Thank you.
Gotcha. Great. Got some shout outs here to Ogi Yapong. I'm sure
Yes. Alma.
I,
Yes. Thank you,
I tried
Alma.
to.
Good to see you. Thanks for your support. One
Yep,
of my
he
prayer
said
partners there.
you are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Um, Ebony Wallace, amen. Hey, Ebony, good to see you. Melandra Williams,
Yes.
saying beautiful testimony. So
Thank you.
glad to know you and be a part of your village.
Thank you. Yes. She's one of the ones. Can you go
Yes.
get Joshua, please?
Gotta have those people, I tell you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you did have a couple more questions that we want to make sure we touch on, which is Ebony asks, how do your children feel about entrepreneurship being in their futures?
Yes, I love that question. So all of the kids are involved in the business. And so again, just in terms of leaving the legacy. So for example, we were out at the Riverside Epicenter for a vendor event. And so the kids know that on vendor events, it's all hands on. So we have folks, for example, Joshua, he's responsible for setting up the table. We have Hannah, who helps with setting up the banners that are standing. Nina Sophia, she's available to sign copies of her books, and she'll smile and ask questions. We actually have my godson on. So they complete timesheets, and I had a year-end retreat where we review the entire year and plans for next year. And they also are, we're a part of that, so that they are getting into the habit of understanding what it takes to run a business. So I also have Joshua and Hannah who help sometimes with behind the scenes. So for example, set up for events like this, someone's helping with my water, making sure my lighting is right, whatever I need. I do want to clarify. So it's not my expectation that the kids, take over the business. I do want them to know the importance of what's happening. So my husband was talking with Nina, for example, earlier today, just about our finances. We use Dave Ramsey's baby steps. And so praise God, we're debt free except for our mortgage. And so the kids need to see that, like how things are all allotted and how we pay and what happens. And Nina thought once you pay a bill, then that was it and never comes back. No, honey. No, girl, them bills will be there for a while because you want to eat, right? You want to be able to see and all that. So just introducing them to those concepts. So I just want them to know. And then sometimes I say, like, it's a big deal. Like your mom owns a business. Like that's, that's phenomenal. They're like, they take it for granted. So yeah, great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have another question from Jamaica. Jamaica wanted to know, how do you navigate past imposter syndrome?
Thank you, Jamaica. And Jamaica happens to be one of my dear friends. She was actually there when, facilitating when Steve and I got married. So thank you, Jamaica, for the question. Imposter syndrome is a real thing. And so for those who are not familiar with the term, it's thinking when you have access to meetings, people that you may think, I don't deserve to be here. Like, they're going to figure out that I'm not who I am or not as good as I am. And I've struggled with that. I talked to you earlier about just some of my self-esteem concerns that I had. It's important to be able to take out that head trash and to make sure you have those affirmations of who you actually are. You are credible. You are intelligent. People do ask you and want you to come. And so, for example, in my case, to facilitate, they do want you to coach. They tell you that you're great. What I struggled with sometimes was I would have a litany, like a whole list of just phenomenal remarks and comments, but would zero in on that one. And sometimes it would like take me out. It would be debilitating. And my husband would say, girl, cut that out. It's like, and focus on all of those things. Yes, take that feedback, see, what adjustments you need to do, but don't let it just put you in the fetal position for like the next week. So being able to be surrounded with other people who are also, they believe in you, they see that potential, that's also important, but it starts with you believing in yourself and looking in the mirror and say, girl, you are on fire. So I got to be able to do that on a regular basis. Great question. Thank you.
That's wonderful. You got another shout out from Leslie Hardy. She said you have a beautiful spirit.
Thank you.
And I think we're ready to wrap. I believe it or not. I mean,
Yeah,
we're gone a little long. We're a couple of minutes over.
Time goes by so fast, right? But this has been so phenomenal. Before we do, I want to make sure we give a recap of the time that we shared tonight with Shatanese. But before we do you have any final words or any nuggets that you want to leave our guests with?
And also, please be sure to share all your social handles.
Yep.
Yep, similar to Sherelle, it's nice and simple, Shatanese Reese. So you can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Facebook specifically, Shatanese Reese LLC, because I do have a private side. But yeah, Shatanese Reese LLC. So Instagram, all Shatanese Reese. Those parting words I'd like to share: whatever is on your heart that you feel like you need to do it. What's the one thing that you can do today to get you closer to doing whatever it is that you want to do? Do it. And find that support system that can, undergird you, because you'll need it. You will absolutely need it, because there will be some times when you'll say, I don't like what's happening. Like, what, I don't even know why I'm doing this. And so that's when you can send out those SOS requests for those prayers, or that support, or the call, or, let's just go for, your beverage of choice. So just do it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Shatanese, for your time. I'm going to do a quick recap. But again, if you guys are just joining in, you don't want to miss this. So make sure that you go back, like, share with someone, right? Capture the notes, because she dropped a lot of really, really great content. So thank you so much for gracing the stage, Shatanese. Some of the things she talked about, the nature of the fact that your past does not determine your present, nor does it predict your future. And Shatanese gave a very illustrative example of how she moved from lack to legacy and actually overcame several hurdles along the way of doing life, right? Partner with your partner. And also remember to delegate success. She talked about the fact that when it comes to actually managing her home, everyone has an understanding of what the important things are, being able to prioritize work. Everyone knows the calendar, running the home in such a way that everyone knows their specific role. Take a nap, right? She talked about the nature that sometimes we have to give ourselves grace to just go to sleep. We're not our best selves when we're hungry, when we're tired, in the same respect. And sometimes when we're giving people the fumes, we're not giving them the best of us, and we're not able to be our best selves, right? Work-life integration, not work-life balance, but integration, and recognize that it is essential to take time for yourselves. Protect that time that you have for yourself, because if you don't give it to yourself, you can't give it to anyone else. It's also important to remove the head trash and replace it with affirmations, right? What are we speaking to ourselves? What's that self-dialogue that no one else can hear? What is that for you? Replace whatever that is, overcome the imposter syndrome, and replace it with affirmations. Love yourself, being able to take a moment to pause, right? Shatanese talked about the nature of practicing the pause principle and giving yourself space and time to just be. Turn off the distractions, turn off the laptops, and just find the space and time to be by yourself. Assign a day, whatever that is, an hour, couple hours within the month, for yourself, where it's just the ability for you to reconnect from within. Also recognize that you can be, that your children can also have the dreams that they have and be able to move as they need to. They don't have to follow in the footsteps of their parents, if you will, but to be able to be successful in being able to do so. Do not react from a place of a wound, right? Making sure that you are recognizing the space that you exist in. Look inwardly to discover your unique why. Why do you exist in such a way that you do? Take time to connect with the triggers and things that come to you as well. Take time to work on your stuff and know yourself better than the next person as well. Take a moment to collect beautiful moments throughout the day, throughout life. Have dreams and put plans in action to make them happen. Be able to pause in the moment to understand why you respond the way that you do. And as she said, and said it best, whatever is on your heart that you feel you need to do it. And do that one thing every single day, as well as find the right support system to help you along the journey. Shatanese, it has been a phenomenal time with you this evening. Again, thank you so much for gracing the stage of Women with Grit.
Yes, and great to meet you, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Congratulations on all your success. And what's the name of your journal again?
It's Collect Beautiful Moments. Collect Beautiful Moments. Let's see if I
You can
can
get it
see.
on,
Go get it. Yes.
Amazon.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, the Solid Foundation Group, as I mentioned. But if you Google Collect Beautiful Moments and Shatanese Reese, it should pop up. So thank you. It's been great.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you
And
next
we'll see you next week.
Same
Yes.
stage. Bye.